Namaskar, a warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Abhijit Lorang bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. The headlines. Indian and Japanese Prime Ministers exchange views on the Special Strategic and Global Partnership. IMF lauds India's Self-Reliance Initiative. US announces $150 million for H-1B1 workforce training program. UN Secretary General calls for climate action for health, security and prosperity for all. International Civil Aviation Organization advises Pakistan to suspend issuance of new pilot licenses, and Sri Lankan apex court to hear petitions against 20th Amendment to its constitution. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi and his Japanese counterpart Suga Yoshihide have called for deepening of bilateral relations. Both the leaders agreed that the bilateral special strategic and global partnership between the two countries have made great advances over the last few years. Prime Minister Modi spoke to his Japanese counterpart on phone and congratulated Mr. Yoshihide on his appointment as the Prime Minister of Japan and wished him success. The two leaders concurred that the partnership between the two countries is even more relevant in the wake of global challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic. They emphasized that the economic architecture of a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region must be premised on resilient supply chains. The two leaders lauded the progress in the economic partnership between the two countries. They welcomed the finalization of the text of the agreement pertaining to specialized skilled workers. International Monetary Fund on Thursday hailed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's call for a self-reliant India under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. The IMF Director Communications Department Jerry Rice said that the economic package under the initiative announced in the aftermath of the coronavirus shock has supported the Indian economy. It has also mitigated significant downside risks. The U.S. Department of Labor said that U.S. will invest $150 million in training for middle to high-skilled H-1B occupations in key sectors. These include information technology, which employs tens of thousands of Indian professionals. The H-1B visa is a non-migrant visa that allows U.S. companies to employ foreign workers in specialty occupations that require theoretical or technical expertise. The technology companies depend on it to hire tens of thousands of employees each year from countries like India and China. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for a sweeping climate action that can lay the foundations for a world of health, security and prosperity for all. He was speaking at a high-level roundtable on climate ambition.
The climate emergency is fully upon us and we have no time to waste. The answer to our existential crisis is swift, decisive, scaled-up action and solidarity among nations. If we continue on our current path, the scale of suffering around the world due to climate disruption will go beyond all our imagination. So let us commit today, now, to sweeping climate action that can lay the foundations for a world of health, security and prosperity for all.
An Australian think tank, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, said that China appeared to be expanding its network of secret detention centers in Xinjiang. According to reports here, the Muslim minorities are targeted in a forced assimilation campaign. The group used satellite images and official construction tender documents to map more than 380 suspected detention facilities in the remote Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. The findings highlights re-education camps, detention centers and prisons that have been newly built or expanded since 2017. In another setback to China, Executive Director of UN Watch, a human rights NGO, Hillel Nuor, told UN Human Rights Council about the massive human rights abuses against Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province. He also slammed the countries for ignoring the plight of minorities in Xinjiang. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Sri Lanka Supreme Court has appointed a 5-member bench to hear the petitions filed against the government's proposed 20th Amendment to the country's constitution. 12 groups, including main opposition Samagi Jana Balavegaya, have filed petitions in the Apex Court against the proposed amendment. They have expressed concern over the amendment impinging the fundamental rights of the citizens. Amendment 20A proposes to restore full executive power and legal immunity to the President. It removes the provisions of Amendment 19, which lay down the procedure to take legal action against the President. However, President Gotabaya has defended the amendment, saying that he had obtained public approval at the recently held polls where the amendment was a poll issue. Atrocities by Pakistan on the people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir have been raised at the UN Human Rights Council. The human rights activist Sajjad Raja has appealed to the UN body to stop Pakistan from treating them like animals. He was speaking at the 45th session of the UNHRC in Geneva. He said that the POK Election Act 2020 has taken away all constitutional, civil and political rights of the citizens of the POK region.
We, the people of Pakistani-occupied Jammu Kashmir, plead this August Council to stop Pakistan from treating us like animals. The Azad Kashmir Election Act 2020 has taken away all political, civil and constitutional rights. Our activities opposing accession to Pakistan have been declared anti-state in flagrant violation of United Nations resolutions. We are treated as traitors in our own home, simply for defending it. By declaring our political activities illegal, this act gives the Pakistani army a free hand to assassinate our people through targeted killings and enforced disappearances.
The International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO has advised Pakistan to undertake immediate corrective action and suspend the issue of any new pilot licenses. The move comes in the wake of a scandal over falsified licenses. The recommendations from ICAO, a specialized agency of the United Nations that works to ensure safety in international air transport, have cast a shadow on flight safety by Pak pilots. Pakistan has opened a criminal probe into 50 pilots and 5 civil aviation officials who allegedly helped them falsify credentials to secure pilot licenses. Now let us take a look at the coronavirus updates from around the world.
According to WHO data, the number of infected cases has crossed 32.02 million worldwide. European stocks slipped on Friday, on course for their worst weekly showing in over 3 months. US coronavirus cases topped 7 million, accounting for more than 20% of the world's total. Brazil, which has the world's second highest coronavirus death toll, has decided to join the global COVID-19 vaccine partnership known as COVAX and earmark $454 million for securing vaccines through it. Meanwhile, Rio de Janeiro's Carnival Parade, due to be held next February, has been postponed indefinitely. In India, over 4.7 million people have recovered from the disease so far, and the recovery rate improved to 81.74%. This is Virat Majboor for News Desk for AIR World News.
In an apparently rare gesture, North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un has apologized to Seoul for the killing of a South Korean citizen by North Korean military earlier this week. He described the incident as disgraceful. A South Korean Fisheries Department official was shot dead by North Korean troops on Tuesday after he allegedly entered the North Korean waters illegally. The killing provoked outrage in South Korea. This was the first instance of a South Korean citizen being killed by North Korean forces in about a decade. Moving on to sports, in the Indian Premier League cricket, Delhi Capitals set a target of 175 runs for 3 wickets against Chennai Super Kings. In its reply, Chennai Super Kings have scored 84 for 3 wickets in 14 overs as per the latest updates. TikTok has informed an Australian government committee that it will allow government officials to review its algorithm and test its source code. It is being seen as a step to overcome distrust surrounding the video streaming app operator's China ownership. Earlier, TikTok's owner ByteDance reached a deal with Oracle Corp and Walmart Inc. that it hopes will end US plans to ban TikTok in the United States. India is celebrating the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to Vaishnavi Jan by artists from Saudi Arabia. And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at same time tomorrow with the next edition of the World News.